Tonight in the Tokyo Dome, the second round comes to a close. These two teams are headed to San Francisco. The Netherlands and Japan play for seeding in San Francisco. Rich Waltz along with Buck Martinez. It's our final day here in Japan. When it started, there were 8 teams to survive on to San Francisco. And we've seen some incredible things, including last night. Kalian Sams with the walk-off sacrifice fly. But you know, Buck, there's some little plays along the way, some big plays. Without the Andrelton Simmons heroics, Kalian Sams isn't in a position to win it.
He never gets a chance. It was a 2-run home run by Andrelton Simmons in the 8th inning to tie it at 6-all. It was his second at-bat against Norberto Gonzalez, and in the first at-bat, he popped up to end the 6th inning. He was disappointed he didn't come through in that at-bat, but was really anxious to get another kick at the can, and boy, did he deliver.
You think about Japan, they're 2-0. But they were losing to Chinese Taipei. In fact, they were down to their last strike against Chinese Taipei. Now, everybody remembers the Ibata base hit that tied the game, that sent it to extra innings. But there was a little stolen base there that meant an awful lot, too.
Boy, there sure was. It was Takashi Toritani with 2 outs, beating the tag at second ever so close. Jerry Davis, the umpire, right on top of it. Toritani with just 15 steals during the regular season a year ago. But once again, Koji Yamamoto, the veteran manager, rolled the dice with 2 outs. The game could have ended right there had not Toritani beaten the throw.
Now you've got one team nursing some injuries, Japan as well. Both managers talked about how impressed they are with the other team. Remember, Japan wiped out the Netherlands. And Yamamoto was pretty impressed with that win over Cuba.
Boy, sure was. He said he had several calls as they went back and forth. He watched the first 6 innings, didn't watch the rest, but he really has a lot of respect for the way the Netherlands beat Cuba.
Okay, they match up here tonight in Tokyo. Round 2 comes to a close. So many heroics, so many big plays here in the Tokyo Dome. And it all ends tonight with the Netherlands and Japan. First pitch, moments away in Tokyo. All the drama pretty much squeezed out of the Tokyo Dome last night, but tonight, big crowd arrives to watch the Netherlands and Japan finish off this second round. The Netherlands starting lineup, one of the heroes last night, Andrelton Simmons. Hanley Statius in right field, Jonathan Scope at second. Andrew Jones had a big night last night. So did Kurt Smith. 3 more hits, 8 in the tournament. Kalian Sams had the walk-off sac fly. Xander Bogaerts at third, Dashenko Ricardo behind the plate, and Randolph Odeber had a big night last night with 3 stolen bases. Kenji Otanari is the guy that Team Japan will send out. Koji Yamamoto going with this lefty, and he was the guy that started against Cuba, only went 3 innings, only gave up 1 run, but he was tagged with a loss.
Otanari is a pitcher from the Fukuoka team, SoftBank Hawks, and he will go to the mound tonight. 3 innings in the World Baseball Classic this year, 2 hits, ERA at 3, and he's a guy left-hander and going to get the start. We mentioned throughout this tournament that Team Japan has 13 pitchers on their roster. Only 4 of those pitchers are true relief pitchers, so they've got a lot of starting depth on their staff and guys that can pitch deep into the ball game. We spoke to Koji Yamamoto, the manager, about his intent for this ball game, and he said, I'm going to use this ball game to get some of the guys that aren't particularly swinging the bats well. See if we can't get them going a little bit before we head to the United States and look forward to San Francisco.
And both these teams are actually headed to Arizona. They'll play a couple of games against big league clubs before going up to San Francisco. Here is Japan defensively.
Katsuya Kakanaka is in left field, and Hinayoshi Chono is back in center field. Yoshi Itoi, who has played center field most of the time, is in right. Nobuhiro Matsuda is the third baseman. Hirokazu Ibata plays shortstop for the first time. Kazu Matsui, the former big leaguers, at second. Sho Nakata, who has played in the outfield, he's at first base tonight. And for the first time in the tournament, Shinjiro Sumitani is catching for Koji Yamamoto's club.
Japan at 2-0 this round. The Netherlands at 2-1, and Andrelton Simmons stands in, and we're ready to go from the Tokyo Dome. And remember, these two teams met just a few nights ago, and Japan hit 6 home runs and stunned the Netherlands 16-4. Simmons has 9 hits in 25 at-bats, a .360 average, and of course the big home run last night to tie the game at 6. And he smacks this one to left center field. That ball's deep. Andrelton Simmons, stay hot. A leadoff home run for Simmons. His last 2 at-bats have been big ones.
Well, they sure have. Sunday night, the last time these two teams met, it was Takashi Toritani, the leadoff batter for Japan, that hit a first inning home run for Team Japan that got him off and running. And tonight, Andrelton Simmons, this looks just like the swing he took last night. Back-to-back home runs for Simmons, and he gets the Netherlands team off and running.
Hanley Stacia up now, and Stacia takes a strike at the knees. Switch hitting infielder who's actually in right field. And that's one of the storylines tonight for the Netherlands, and that's the medical report. Vladimir Ballantyne last night, the cleanup hitter and the right fielder, injured his groin in the first inning, had to come out of the ballgame in the second inning. Has had treatment and feels he'll be ready to go mid to late next week. And this is a look at Ballantyne last night. He got a pretty good jump, but you could see him pull up midway through.
Yeah, he felt it before he got to the bag at second base. Stayed in the game defensively, but would have to come out of the ball game.
So that's the report on Ballantyne. As well, Roger Bernardino, the number 3 hitter, the center fielder, hit by a pitch against Japan a couple of nights ago. Could not play last night. The wrist feels much better today, and the Netherlands is pretty confident that Bernardino will be back and swinging once they get to Arizona. The biggest question mark has to be Yorendel de Castro. De Castro started at third last night, ended up in right, and then collapsed across first base. Hensley Mullins raced out. They carried him off on a stretcher, and the report is a very bad case of plantar fasciitis. Whether he's ready to go is probably the biggest question mark for San Francisco. Jonathan Scope takes down low.
You're into the caster going up the first base line. Just before he gets to the bag, he feels something, and then beyond first base, he will go down in the heap. He was carried off on a stretcher, and we spoke to him before the game, and it is a serious case of plantar fasciitis, which is the base of your foot, and there's a membrane in there, and that membrane will get stretched. Sometimes it even ruptures to the point where you address it with cortisone. He had a cortisone shot, and he is optimistic that he will be okay to play in San Francisco.
1-2 pitch misses inside. Andrelton Simmons with a home run. Now, if any of those 3 can't play in San Francisco, there is a provisional roster that the Netherlands has, and they can draw on some pretty talented players to fill out the roster. A swing and a miss, and Scope strikes out. They already have 3 shortstops in the infield, and there's another shortstop that plays for the Texas Rangers that, oh, by the way, is training in Arizona that might possibly be a candidate.
Jerkson Profar is with the Rangers, and he's already had 33 at-bats in spring training. He's hitting just .212, but he's hit a double, a triple, and he's driven in 5 runs. So should they need an extra body because of injuries, they can reach out and see if Profar will be allowed to play by the Texas Rangers.
Here's Andrew Jones now, and Jones, who had a nice night last night, a couple of hits and an RBI, has been an enormous leader for this Netherlands team on the field and off the field. And he swings and misses. The count's 0-2. Otanari was an all-star last year with SoftBank. Didn't get a lot of run support, Buck. A 2.86 ERA and a 10-10 record.
Yeah, he really pitched much better than a 10-10 record might indicate.
Fastball popped up towards the seats. And it's out of play. Okay, what awaits San Francisco? The bracket looks this way. The first game in San Francisco is on Sunday night. This is Pool 1, and the winner of this game will play that first night. Pool 2 runner-up will be coming from Miami. So they allow for travel for these teams to go from Japan to the States, play and get their legs in Arizona, and get up to San Francisco. The two teams that come from Miami will come straight from Miami to San Francisco. 0-2 pitch. Change up, and a good one by Otanari. But Andrelton Simmons is still here, and he hammers one into the seats. The Netherlands is up 1-0. 1-0. Andrelton Simmons with a leadoff home run. And here comes Japan, and here comes David Bergman, who was ready to go last night, Buck Martinez.
Yeah, he sure was. He was warming up early in the ball game and then never got to him. You can see his numbers for the World Baseball Classic. Inning and 2/3, just 2 hits allowed. He pitches in the Dutch League. In fact, he was the pitcher of the year in 2007 in the Dutch League.
And it will be interesting to see if he makes an adjustment from the last time the Netherlands faced this team from Japan, because it was not pretty. High pop. Smith calling for it at first, and he makes the catch. Here's the lineup for Japan. As Buck pointed out, Koji Yamamoto's got some different guys in there. Chono in the leadoff spot. Kaz Matsui hits second. Hirokazu Ibata hits third. Shinosuke Abe. Yoshio Itoi against the Netherlands. He hit a big 3-home run, but then again, who didn't? Sho Nakata hit sixth. Katsuya Kakanaka is in left. Jinjiro Sumitani will do the catching, and Nobuhiro Matsuda is at third base. Once again, we get a chance to listen to all the different songs and the chants for each of Team Japan's players.
Well, they certainly have a nice turnout tonight, given the fact that the results of this pool have already been determined.
Yeah, the outfield is packed from foul pole to foul pole. There doesn't look like there's a lot of room.
Very animated crowd. They certainly want to come out and support their team. This will be the final time they will see them before they send them off to the United States for the semis and finals. Kaz Matsui gets a start tonight. Matsui played 7 years in the majors, signing originally with the Mets. He plays with the Rakuten Golden Eagles here in the Nippon Professional Baseball League, and he will be a teammate of Andrew Jones this summer.
2-2 pitch, and it's out. The count is 3-2. Matsui, a veteran, both in experience and age. He's 37. Lifted to left. Sams is out there, and he makes the catch. Sams was in center field last night, and here's the rest of the defense for the Netherlands.
Yeah, Sams moves from center to left. That's where he played earlier against Cuba, and the Randolph Odeberg, who played in left field, moves to center field. Henley Station infielder is out in right. Up the middle, it's Simmons and Scope. Keep your eyes on them. They could really turn it around the bag at second. Xander Bogaerts did not start in last night's game, but he came up with a big hit coming off the bench. Kurt Smith is at first, and Deshenko Ricardo is behind the plate.
Now that is one of our favorites, the Ibata chant.
He is a real popular player here, and they have been consistent with their support. What they do here in Japan is they will have a chant and a song for each player, and they'll play it throughout his at-bat. It's not a walk-up song by any means.
Smith makes the catch, and a nice clean inning by David Bergman. Could you imagine that in the States? I mean, your walk-up song lasted your entire AB. MetLife proud to cover today's game with unique aerial shots from one of the world's most recognizable blimps. Snoopy won. Over 25 years, MetLife Blimp has provided one-of-a-kind aerial coverage of sporting events. Thrilled to have them here for the 2013 World Baseball Classic. Just a cool shot. That's the Skytree Restaurant, Broadcasting Tower, Observation Tower in Tokyo. That's 2,080 feet, Buck. Tallest tower in the world.
It's a great city. Really been impressed. We have spent time in Fukuoka and now Tokyo.
Kurt Smith has impressed in Taichung and in Tokyo, and that is foul. Smith, as we have chronicled while he's been here, is a 26-year-old out of Curacao. He played his college ball at the University of Maine. How does a guy go from Curacao to the University of Maine? Well, it was a sort of a high school summer tournament, and Smith was up there, impressed some of the University of Maine coaches. They offered him a scholarship, and he accepted, and he ended up being the Conference Player of the Year. And then drafted by the Cardinals late, like in the 39th round late. Got to Double-A with the Marlins last year, was released, and he's looking for a ball club. He's having such a good World Baseball Classic that a few scouts have talked to him. So he's hopeful that when it's all said and done, if he continues to hit like he's hit and put up the big numbers, that he'll have himself a job when this is done. Swing and a miss at a nasty breaking ball. Since the home run by Simmons, Otanari has struck out 4.
Otanari's got a great changeup, and that's the pitch that gets Kurt Smith. 4 straight strikeouts after the leadoff home run, and Otanari has done a good job of getting the ball down. He made the final start in the first round, started against Cuba in Fukuoka, his home ballpark.
Speaking of home, Kilian Sams, it won't be home as far as home, but his spring training home, that's where the Netherlands will be going, Peoria, Arizona. And when in Peoria, the Netherlands will play San Diego and Seattle, and that's the team that Sams plays for in the minor leagues. He was in Double-A last year. He would love to get to Triple-A, but he says it'll be special to see all of his teammates and play in Peoria before heading up to San Francisco.
Yeah, this team is loaded with talented players, and Sams is certainly one of them. Big physical guy that can really run.
2-0 pitch. He was out in front of it, popped it up. The catcher is there and makes the catch. And so Otanari has been impressive ever since Simmons took him deep.
Well, Simmons is a very aggressive hitter, and he'll swing early in a game and early in an at-bat, and he jump-started the offense for the Netherlands, and since then, they haven't been able to figure Otanari out at all.
Here's Bogaerts, who was not in the starting lineup last night with the injuries that occurred with both Ballantine and Yurendel DeCaster having to come out. Bogaerts found himself in there, and as Buck pointed out, he came up with a big hit late in the ball game. A bloop single in that 9th inning. As Victor Mesa changed pitchers on almost every batter, Bogaerts dumped this one into right field.
With 2 strikes, Bogaerts got that hit against Raciel Iglesias, and that really set the situation up. That would load the bases and set the table for Kilian Sams, who delivered the sac fly.
Sams hit a 2-strike pitch to deep center field. Bogaerts behind in the count 1-2, and he takes up and out. He's one of the youngest players on this Netherlands team. Bogaerts just 20. He's out of Aruba. and the top prospect for the Boston Red Sox. Getting to play third for the very first time. And so far, he's been pretty good there.
Yeah, he has been good there, and it is the first time he's played third. He's a shortstop. And this is a talented team from the Netherlands that has great infielders, and they've asked Bogaerts to play third. He hasn't hesitated and done okay.
3-2 coming. And it's down low. Otanari walks Bogaerts, and that'll bring up Deshenko Ricardo. So the Netherlands is nursing a couple injuries, actually 3 injuries. As we reported earlier, it sounds like at least 2 of them are mending. The Bernardino wrist injury, the Ballantine groin injury. The biggest question will be DeCaster's foot. Both of these teams will take charter flights tonight and head to Arizona.
Yeah, the logistics are really interesting. The Netherlands came here. They've got their bags packed, and they will shower here, jump on a bus, go to the airport, and take the charter, as will Team Japan. And you bring these teams from all corners of the world, and they're going to meet eventually in San Francisco.
There will be some umpires. There will be some World Baseball Classic officials on those flights as well.
Trevor Green, who has umpired in Taichung, Chinese Taipei, and then in this pool, is a Canadian umpire. He will go on to umpire in the finals. Jerry Davis, a veteran of 30 years in the majors, is behind the plate. Alfonso Marquez. Carlos Ray from Puerto Rico, and Felix Tejada from the Dominican Republic.
Bogaerts at first. Rashenko behind in the count, 0-2. And a fastball is up from Otanari. Otanari, as we noted, a start. He made 27 starts. But odd in the fact that even without anyone on base, he's been working from the stretch. You normally see that from a reliever. With a runner at first, he's in the stretch now, but he's been in the stretch the entire game.
Yeah, it's just a situation where he's obviously more comfortable out of the stretch. Sometimes you can eliminate some of the movement, and it's very interesting. Most of the Japanese starters we have seen over the years have a very exaggerated windup with a hesitation at some point in that windup. Otanari is an exception.
And he muscles up with a fastball and strikes out the Netherlands catcher, Deshenko Ricardo. 1-0, and Andrelton Simmons homer is standing up. It's a 1-0 ball game. It's the bottom of the second. Coming up, the second round in Miami. Italy against the Dominican Republic. That's the afternoon game. And then Puerto Rico against USA at night. 2 games at Marlins Park in Miami. And if you're just joining us here, this is the end of this pool of round 2. Shinosuke Abe, who is DHing in this ball game. And Abe takes a breaking ball up. The 2 teams headed to San Francisco have been decided, and they're playing right here for seeding purposes to decide who will play on next Sunday or on Monday. Sunday in San Francisco, the first semifinal. Monday the second, and Tuesday the final. Bergman's changeup swung on and missed.
Abe just missed the Triple Crown last year. He had 340. He had 27 home runs and finished second in that department to Vladimir Ballantine, who's sitting in the Netherlands dugout. Triple Crown, a rare occurrence. Of course, we had one last year with Miguel Cabrera in the big leagues, but there have been 11 Triple Crown winners in the Japanese Professional League. Ballantine, with 31 home runs, kept Abe from capturing the Triple Crown last year.
Ballantine for Yakult, which is here in the Tokyo area. One of the things Ballantine was talking about when he tweaked his groin was playing on the artificial surface. But that's not nice of him, taking that Triple Crown away from Abe.
Now, we mentioned Abe, and he's been a very popular player, the reigning MVP. Man, his hero, Abe, was Randy Bass, who played for the Hanshin Tigers, who was playing for Abe's hometown team. And Randy Bass won back-to-back Triple Crowns in '85 and '86.
There seems to be in Japan a lot more Triple Crown winners than there are in Major League Baseball.
Yeah, I think so. And we mentioned Randy Bass, of course. He came from the United States. Greg Boomer Wells won in '84. But you see the trend, 84, 85, 86. Even Ochiai Hiromitsu, a Japanese player, had 3 Triple Crowns in the '80s. But the pitching has since become much more dominant, and that's what was so special about the season that Abe put together.
Now that's Greg Boomer Wells,
formerly of the Toronto Blue Jays. Had a phenomenal career over here in Japan. He had .355 with 37 homers and 130 RBIs in '84.
Sadahara O put together a Triple Crown season as well.
Mr. O had a couple of Triple Crown seasons here.
Abe! Abe! Remember, Japan hit 6 homers against the Netherlands. Abe, a long at bat, ties it up with a solo shot.
Yeah, they hit 6 in the game against Netherlands, but they kept Abe in the yard. Tonight they can't do it. 27 home runs during the regular season and a .340 batting average. That's a good sign for Japan if Abe's bat can come alive before they hit San Francisco. We spoke to the manager, Koji Yamamoto, about Pac Bell Park, San Francisco, and he said, "Is that where they catch the balls in the boat?"
Yes, that's right. He was very much aware of the boats in McCovey's Cove. Maybe Abe can go to McCovey's Cove.
Looked like Valentin told Andrew Jones, "Watch this guy swing the bat." He saw him all year. Last couple of years he played here in Japan.
By middle of the summer, Andrew Jones will know himself, because Jones is going to play here this year. Itoi now, Yoshio Itoi. And Itoi with a homer and 7 RBIs. He's been a nice run producer in the middle of the Japan order, and he walks. Bergman got the first 3 outs in the first, but he's running some troubles here in the second.
And he gets a visit from his catcher, Dashenko Ricardo. That's the one question you have about the fortunes of the Netherlands, just how far will their pitching carry them?
They don't have a real dominant starter. They have guys that are dependable, guys that throw strikes and pound the strike zone, and they really rely on that athletic infield.
Another breaking ball that Nakata was well out in front of. Sho Nakata's interesting, just 24 years old, and he's got some power. And he's kind of an exceptional player, developing that power as quickly as he has.
It would appear, Buck, that Japan has a deeper pitching staff in terms of starting pitching. So if you're the Netherlands, you'd like to play that first night, because you would get an off day, and if you used anyone for more than 30 pitches, and less than 95 pitches, you could bring him back for the championship game. For Japan, I don't think that's as big an issue. And Bergman hits Nakata. This is a case where both managers are going to piece it together with whoever's available.
But winning becomes probably more significant for the Netherlands than it does Japan, because the winner of this game will play on Sunday in San Francisco and then have a night off. Nakata takes one on the elbow, and I don't care if there's intent or not. That hurts. Japanese regular season will begin March 29th. So they will come back after San Francisco and start their season very quickly.
There's a bunt. Bergman thought about third, safe at first. Great speed by Kakanaka. And the bags are loaded, and you cannot make mistakes against Japan. And would you agree, Buck, that AT&T Park is a ballpark that suits Japan's style of play?
Yeah, I really agree with that. Take a look at the bunt by Kakanaka as he gets it down, and that look to third base proves fatal for Dave Bergman. Kakanaka busts it out of the batter's box. It's a good bunt. No chance at all for Bergman, and by the time he recovers, it's much too late.
So a bunt base hit and a big breaking ball from Bergman for a strike. Bases loaded for Japan. Shinsuke Abe led off with a home run, and it's been a walk, a hit batter, and a bunt single since. Jinjiro Sumitani. And that didn't take long. Sumitani, who hasn't played a whole lot here in the Classic, is on his way back to the bench.
Well, it's a different story now as Nobuhiro Matsuda makes his way to the plate. Matsuda had a home run on Sunday night, one of those 6 home runs that Japan hit against the Netherlands.
Infield looks for 2. It's a very good Netherlands defense. Bergman from the stretch, and a fastball swung on and missed. And it's 0-1. Out in front.
Made some good pitches, hasn't he?
0-2.
Another breaking ball. This one right on the outside part of the plate, and Matsuda swings right through it.
Now the 0-2. Breaking ball line, center field, falls for a hit. Odeber up with it. A run scores, and Japan has a 2-1 lead. And another RBI for Matsuda.
This was the problem for the Netherlands against Japan in their first meeting. Everything is up. This is a breaking ball. It's about belt high, and with 2 strikes, Matsuda cashes in with the single into center. They absolutely wore out the Netherlands pitching. 16 runs on 17 hits, and a majority of the damage was done when they elevated the pitches.
Here's Chono now. And a breaking ball for a strike. Chono popped out back in the first. Banks still loaded, still 1 out. Koji Yamamoto excited to get to San Francisco. That's a fair ball. That'll do some damage. Itoi will score. Nakata will score. Right behind him, Kakanaka scores. How about that? Just like that, Japan has built a 5-1 lead.
Exactly the type of game Japan wants to have to continue the momentum they have developed in this series. Matsuda clears the bases. Excuse me, Chono clears the bases with that double. And now Bert Blyleven's making a very deliberate walk to the mound, the pitching coach for the Netherlands.
So Japan is up 5-1. They have dominated the Netherlands. You think about the ball game they won, it was 16-4. It was more than a laugher. It was a mercy rule game. They hit 6 home runs. They had not hit a home run the entire tournament before that game in 4 previous games.
Yeah, and it just really got their bats alive. We mentioned the number of mistakes that Quarterman's made up in that zone. Robbie Quarterman's was the starter against Japan. He went 1 1/3, gave up 5 hits and 6 earned runs. And he was touched up for 3 home runs in that inning and a third.
Jonathan Senya in the Netherlands bullpen. And Bergman misses up.
Well, you can bet that the scouts here that are watching Japan have made significant notes about the fact that they're high ball hitters. They have done a great job whenever they get that ball up in the zone. Kevin Saucier is here with the Major League Scouting Bureau gathering information for Team USA. And they're scouting for Team USA. There are many, many scouts in the stands to scout talent. And there are a few advanced scouts as well. It's been incredible how many scouts we have seen both in Fukuoka and here in Tokyo. And you'll see teams, the Braves have 3 scouts here, including Don Cheedy, longtime scout and assistant to the GM. Dave Littlefield, the former GM, is also here. Russ Beauvais of the Blue Jays, and there are 2 Blue Jays scouts here. Russ Beauvais, longtime great scout.
Matsui rolls it to Scope at second. And the Netherlands finally has the second out of the inning. It's been a long inning for David Bergman. You see Bert Blyleven. The bullpens in both Fukuoka and here are hidden. They're back behind the dugouts. Both teams have monitors to both bullpens. So you can see your own bullpen, you can see your opponent's bullpen. In San Francisco, that won't be a problem. The bullpens are right there, right down the lines. In fact, the pitchers don't sit in the bullpens. Pitchers get to sit in the dugouts.
Well, so many of the players we've talked to on both of these ball clubs really looking forward to going to San Francisco. Even Andrelton Simmons, the shortstop of the Atlanta Braves, who plays for the Netherlands, has yet to see the ballpark in San Francisco. When he was in the big leagues, he played in 49 games, and he was on the DL for a while, so he hasn't even seen the ballpark that he will play in after this game tonight.
Oh, he's going to see a lot of that ballpark before his career is done. Ibata now popped out back in the first. Hirokazu Ibata. And Ibata shoots it foul up into the seats. The challenge for both these teams, get to Arizona, get acclimated to the United States, get the time change out of your body, play a couple games Thursday and Friday night. Both teams will head up to San Francisco after they play those 2 games. Japan will play the Giants and the Cubs. Bergman thought he had a strikeout, and he may have, but it wasn't called by Jerry Davis.
Bergman has thrown some good breaking balls, and this one looked like it caught the outside corner. Bergman took a step toward the dugout. Ibata had a big hit on Friday night with 2 outs. He drove in the tying run in the top of the 9th against Chinese Taipei on a swing just like that. He steps in the bucket and hits the ball to the opposite field. But after that 2-out stolen base by Takashi Toritani, Ibata cashed him in with a single center.
Two. And the count 3-2. Ibata is one of the right-handed hitters, and we heard this in Fukuoka from a scout and from some opposing teams. A right-handed hitter that will step towards third and yet hit the ball to right, which can be a difficult assignment for a pitcher, because if you try to bury a pitch inside it, the hitter can still get to it.
See, the outfield shifted around to right.
Bergman misses inside. 54 pitches in is David Bergman. And Hensley Mulin's on his way out, and he's going to go to the bullpen.
See him tell Jerry Davis, the home plate umpire, in Senya, he'll be the next pitcher for the Netherlands.
Japan off to a quick start in the second, 5-1. Jonathan Asenya is about to turn 20 years old. He'll turn 20 on the 21st of March. He'd love to celebrate that birthday in San Francisco after the finals of the World Baseball Classic. And the young right-hander comes in, and he faces one of the most feared hitters in Japan, Shinsuke Abe, who clubbed a homer down the right field line his only time up. Senya throws a strike. Here's the Abe home run.
Abe has been fighting his rhythm and timing. It looks like it's coming around for him. He's starting out this tournament as the DH. He was dealing with a bad right knee, and that knee is close to 100% now. 27 home runs in the regular season last year. Finished second in that category. And he's very popular. This is his team. The Yomiuri Giants play in the Tokyo Dome.
Abe lifts a pop-up third base side and out of play. The Yomiuri Giants have a team gift shop here at the Tokyo Dome, in which Buck Martinez did some major damage. Dropped some big-time yen there.
I got one of those jerseys right there, and Abe number 10, the Yomiuri uniform with a Yomiuri hat. But it's quite the complex they have around here, Tokyo Dome City.
Abe to right. Did he get another one? Stacia at the wall, and it's gone. Two home runs in the same inning for Abe. And can you believe it? Japan is hammering the Netherlands again.
That's where their bats came alive the first time they faced the Netherlands. And Shinsuke Abe, another pitch, an off-speed pitch, and he drills it into the seats in right. This is a big confidence boost for Abe for sure. Again tonight, when I saw him before BP, came out, smiled, bowed, held up one finger. Only one RBI. So he's starting to get it going a little bit.
Here is Itoy.
I asked Abe if his family would be joining him in San Francisco, and he said no. He said, I have young children that have to stay in school. Plus the fact that it'll be a short trip, and then they come back to open up their regular season.
Itoy slaps one foul and out of play. Well, later on today, it all starts in Miami, Italy, and the Dominican Republic.
Hanley Ramirez, Jose Reyes, former Miami Marlins, part of the Dominican Republic team. How do you think they're going to be received in Miami?
You know, it'll be interesting because the crowds, I think Miami is such a melting pot, Buck. You know that. There will be Dominican fans. There will be Puerto Rican fans. There will be USA fans. There will be Italian fans there.
There are Italian fans everywhere, aren't there?
There's Italian restaurants here in Tokyo. There were a lot of Italian restaurants. In fact, I think there were more Italian restaurants over in Fukuoka than we've seen here in Tokyo. Three-two. I had the count at 3-2, and Itoy talking with the home plate umpire Jerry Davis, who said, "Hey, you've walked. Take your base."
Yeah. Well, Itoy has been swinging a hot bat, and he's walked for a second time tonight. I'm sure he'd like to get a couple swings in this ball game, and you anticipate that Koji Yamamoto is going to make some substitutions. He's concerned about getting some of the bats in this lineup going a little bit. Itoy has been swinging a hot bat throughout this tournament. He had a home run against the Netherlands.
Nakata lifts one down the right field line. Stacia over, and it's out of play.
Joe Nakata is interesting, and Koji Yamamoto really thinks he's got a bright future. 24 years old. He's a guy that has developed power already. And Yamamoto knows power. He was a great power hitter when he played.
And Yamamoto said there's not a lot of guys like him here in Japan. Guys that can really pull the ball with power.
He even has a different approach, and you see a lot of the left-handed hitters with that high leg kick, much like Ichiro Suzuki, and of course the great Sadaharu Oh is the one that really started that trend. But Nakata's got a little bit of a Western look about his approach, a little bit of a major league pull kind of swing where he uses that leg kick to get some timing, but he's sitting on that back leg trying to spin and do some damage.
Two-one. In the air and deep left center. Sams has room and makes the catch, and a long inning comes to an end. 8 runs and 2 homers by that man, Shinsuke Abe. 8-1, 8 runs. It started out well for the Netherlands. They got a run. First hitter of the game, Andrelton Simmons, and then Shinnosuke Abe led off the second with a homer. That tied the game at 1. Japan would add some runs. Abe would hit another home run, and then this lefty has been outstanding. Kenji Otanari.
He's done a great job. He's allowed just a walk since that leadoff home run. And he has recorded 5 strikeouts.
Randolph Odeber. And then you've got Andrelton Simmons and Hanley Stacia. When Koji Yamamoto was talking about the Netherlands' win over Cuba last night, he remarked that the bottom of the lineup, and in particular Randolph Odeber, used their legs and used their speed. Especially, he said, with the 2 hitters being out of the lineup, with Ballantine and Bernardina out. He said with Ballantine and Bernardina out, he felt that there was no way Cuba would lose that game.
And Odeber had a lot to do with it. He was just 1 for 4, but he had 3 stolen bases and a double. And his speed was pivotal in that ball game. Yes, he scored 2 runs.
Odeber takes called strike 3. Otanari, 6 strikeouts.
He's shown a good changeup and good command with his fastball. He dots the I on the outside corner with that fastball about knee high. That's 6 punch outs for the lefty. Wasn't it interesting hearing Koji Yamamoto talk about watching the game last night? He said he watched for 6 innings and then he turned it off. But after every run, he got a phone call to give him an update. And then he got the final phone call of the night and found out that the Netherlands had walked off Cuba. But he was paying attention to what was going on.
Simmons, a homer in the first. And of course, he homered last night, the 2-run shot off of Norberto Gonzalez, who I think we'll both agree was probably in the game a little bit too long, because he was tiring. And that shot by Simmons tied the game at 6. Breaking ball misses away. In fact, Gonzalez finished that 8th inning and came out and started the 9th.
He threw a total of 78 pitches in relief, went 4 2/3, touched up for 5 hits, but the big hit was the 2-run home run by Simmons.
High pop-up. That's out of play.
When Simmons hit that home run last night, it was his 2nd at bat against Gonzalez, and here's a look at the brackets as they set up.
Look at the in the gold, Cuba beating Chinese Taipei 14-0, and then Japan beating the Netherlands 16-4. And of course, the dramatic comeback last night by the Netherlands to knock out the Cubans. The Netherlands has had a hand in knocking out 2 perennial World Baseball Classic powers, Korea and Cuba.
Netherlands shut out Korea in Taichung in the first round, 5-0. And that was a real shocker, one of the many upsets we've seen in this year's World Baseball Classic. Of course, Italy had a great run, and they're going to get off to the start in the 2nd round down in Miami. Hensley Munes, the manager, Robert Einhorn, the bench coach. Very proud of the way this team has played. And last night, in face of adversity, losing 3 of their regular players.
Mullins called last night's win the biggest win in the history of the Netherlands. Drive to left, and he didn't get all of it. And Simmons is retired. He talked about the World Cup win in 2011. Talked about the WBC win as well. And here's the the summary about the walk-off win. That's why we won. The guys were resilient. They stick together when we needed it more. They got tougher as a group in the dugout, and they weren't going to die. Cuba played a good game, but again, we played the better game, and Mullins had to play without 3 of his starters, including his number 3 and 4 hitters, Roger Bernardina and Vladimir Valentin. Bouncer to short off the bat of Stacia, and Otonari goes 1-2-3. Japan is pounding Netherlands again, 8-1. 8-1 Japan on top of the Netherlands. Make sure you visit worldbaseballclassic.com. Bookmark it as your one-stop source for news, video highlights, and online shopping for authentic jerseys, caps, collectible items, and more. Shop 24 hours a day. Gear up as you support your team by wearing the official colors of your country. worldbaseballclassic.com. Accessible on your computer, tablet, or smartphone. Jonathan Asenya, Katsuya Kakanaka. Kakanaka had a bunt base hit, and he rolls one out to second. Jonathan Scope makes the play. And there's one out here in the third. Rich Waltz along with Buck Martinez. We have seen a lot, we have done a lot, and we have had a incredible time in our 2 weeks here in Japan. First in Fukuoka, and then here in Tokyo.
It's hard to fathom that this is the final game of 12, and it's gone by so quickly. We've seen some great games, and we've seen some great talent.
Simmons straightens up, has a rifle for an arm, and he throws out Jinjiro Sumitani.
This is our first trip to Japan, and it's been very impressive. The people we have had the opportunity to work with have been first class in every regard. Television people have been outstanding. They've got great talent, cameramen, directors, producers. Everything has been first class.
I tweeted out the team photo of the folks in the booth on the, if you check the World Baseball Classic Twitter feed, you'll find it. Roller to the right side. Smith steps on the bag, and the young right-hander gets a 1-2-3 third, much needed in an 8-1 Japan lead. Cubs, Mets in 2000, Rays, Yankees 04, Athletics, Red Sox in 08, Athletics again, and Mariners last year. They've played a college football bowl game in here. Michael Jackson played 21 concerts in the Tokyo Dome. Preseason NBA, preseason NFL, and this, as Howard Cosell would say, is where Buster Douglas upset Mike Tyson.
A lot of activity here, and it's a great complex, and it's really well laid out. New pitcher for Japan, Hirokazu Sawamura.
Now, if he doesn't win the Sawamura Award, I don't know who will. But he is not related to the namesake of the Cy Young Trophy of Japan.
He has had the best arm we have seen in the Japanese pitching staff. 93. His fastball appears to be somewhat straight, but he's got good velocity.
In the air and out of play.
Just a straight fastball. Jonathan Scope was a tad late on that pitch.
Now, midway through the trip, Buck, I asked you if you could take one thing baseball-wise back with you to the States and implement it into Major League Baseball, because there's a lot of innovations in this country, in Japan, both in baseball and in real life. What would you take now that you've had another week to observe from Fukuoka here to Tokyo?
Well, I think it's the discipline and the dedication to routine we have seen with the Japanese players. I mean, they have a unique routine for batting practice. Guys come behind the batting cage. They hit soft toss. They have a coach there to give them soft toss. Early in the tournament, we saw a pitching machine set up on the first base side in front of their dugout where players would go through a bunting station. And there is a lot of routine and repetition in the Japanese game of baseball.
See, I thought you were going to say the Japanese hot dog that you had tonight.
That was pretty special. The concessions here, you know, I'm a big fan of a concession stand, but the hot dog was off the chart.
A 1 pitch coming to Andrew Jones. I like, and we saw it in Fukuoka, and I'm assuming it's in every, there it is, there's Buck's. Was that a samurai dog? What are they?
It was just a regular hot dog, and that's what it says, hot dog. And it's got mustard and ketchup, and it's very good. And they have more exotic hot dogs that you could taste as well.
Jones pulls a foul. If you could hold that last shot, one of the things I like is you take a look at the bullpen, a couple arms going. I like the screens above the dugouts that go from the dugouts all the way down the foul lines that protect the fans from line drives.
You see there's French fries, hot dogs.
See, I can't get anyone off the food.
A little bit of everything.
I could say Satohiro is walking through the gate in
right
center
back to the
field,
hot dog.
and it's like I'm getting a shot of French fries.
Edamame sold out quickly tonight. It's always a hot item at the concession stand.
You know what? It was sold out in night 1. I don't think they've had edamame all week. Breaking ball misses in, and it's 3-2. Now there you go. See, if you sit in those seats that are up on the rail, there's a helmet and a glove in a box, and you can wear the glove and the helmet and protect yourself. And behind the dugouts and behind those seats is a screen. Jones hits a high pop. The shortstop, Ibata's out, and he makes the catch. Behind the dugouts and down the right field and left field line, there are screens to protect fans, not only during batting practice, but during the game. And I think as all the new ballparks in Major League Baseball have brought the field closer to the stands, or I guess the stands closer to the fields, I think that's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, and you and I have both talked about it throughout this tournament. You could really see how this would be a great addition to Fenway Park. At least during batting practice down the left field line, those fans are really in harm's way. Balls come rocketing into those seats. But I love the glove and helmet under your seat. You walk down, you get your hot dog, you get your French fries, and you sit down and you reach under your seat and you pull out a box that's got a helmet and a glove.
Kurt Smith flips one foul. I kind of like the kegs of beer as Mark Pollock, the lefty in the bullpen, gets loose. The kegs of beer on the back of the vendors is a nice touch too.
Yeah, they're
rather than the big rack of bottles and all that. Just pop the keg on there, get some cups, and away you go.
You got a cup dispenser on the side of the keg and then a tap in their hand, and they fill up the beer right at your seat. Tonight is 2-for-1 beer night in the Tokyo Dome. They have had a special promotion, opening it up to the fans and making sure that they get as many fans in there as possible. This is the final game, of course, of this pool, and the teams will leave after this game.
Now, how did you know it was 2-for-1 beer night?
I could read the concession stands. Didn't you see that? 2-for-1 beer. Right there. 400 yen. You've been here 2 weeks now. You can't speak the language?
No. No, but Ichiro is aware that it's 2-for-1 beer night.
Well, Ichiro's an icon here, even though he's played in the States.
That's a soft pop that's going to nestle in for a base hit. And Kurt Smith has his 9th hit of the tournament. A 2-out bloop single. And Julian Sams comes up for the Netherlands.
Well, he will take this hit, but it's not been as dramatic as some of his other hits. He has 7 hits in this round of the pool, including a home run against Cuba. in their opener in the second round.
Now Sams, who of course hit the high fastball, the deep center that started the celebration, sending Andrew Jones scampering home with the winning run against Cuba.
Sams is a physical specimen. He's a big man, and he has worked out in the past with the track and field team in the Netherlands, and he can really fly. We asked him about that, and he had a little sparkle in his eye. He says, you never know, maybe the Olympics one day.
I think he'd rather get to the Mariners first.
No question about that. He is in the Mariners organization. An outfielder that has a lot of speed.
You know, speaking of that, there's a player that we haven't mentioned in this round that is still in the hearts and the minds of the Netherlands, who was property of the Seattle Mariners and was a Mariner. Greg Hallman, who was killed about a year and a half ago. Here's the 1-1. It's a strike. Hallman was a young player on that 09 team that beat the Dominican, and he was, in Robert Einhorn's name, or in Robert Einhorn's words, everything that they were about in developing players from the Netherlands, Curacao, Aruba. Hallman was a guy that had great physical tools, and through the baseball academies learned the game and became a big league player and was beloved in Seattle. And he is still in the hearts and the minds of the Netherlands team. 8-1, Japan on top. Japan 8 runs in the second, including 2 home runs by their designated hitter, Shinsuke Abe. Abe, a solo shot to open the inning, and then a 3-run shot later in the inning. And this is more of the same for Japan against the Netherlands. The Netherlands obviously has had to play more games than Japan, and thus is a lot thinner in the bullpen. Kurt Smith trying not to lose it up in the roof, and he makes the catch. And I think it might be showing here, the Netherlands with that emotional win last night, a miraculous win, some might say, with the power of the Cubans and the depleted roster of the Netherlands. But still, they somehow found a way to win it in the bottom of the ninth.
And Team Japan didn't really think of this game as a tune-up, but their manager, Koji Yamamoto, made sure he got some guys in the lineup like Kaz Matsui that really haven't been swinging the bat that well. See if he can't get them going. So they go into San Francisco with the lineup that's as deep as possible.
Now you look at Koji Yamamoto, and if you've been following the bracket this side of the Pacific Ocean, you see Yamamoto, and he looks serious and dour. He rarely smiles, and he's intense. But when we have a chance to speak with him with an interpreter, he has a very dry wit about him, a very good sense of humor. That one caught at the shoe tops by Odeberg.
Yeah, he has been a joy to speak with, and we obviously speak to him through an interpreter. But he understands a lot of English, and I'd ask him, this is the first time he's managed in 5 years. He was the 2008 hitting coach for the Japanese Olympic team. He currently works as a color commentator for NHK, covering mostly the Yomiuri Giants. And I asked him if he's got that itch to get back in the dugout and manage. And he said, you know, once you put the uni on, you always feel like you need to be on the field. And he still has that desire to be on the field.
Now he's like you. I mean, you were a player, broadcaster, and manager. Here is Ibata, the 0-1. I liked it when you said and told him that it was the managing part that turned your hair gray.
Yeah, we told him that, and I said, yeah, managers will make your hair go gray. And he said, yes, I color mine.
See, I could just see him in a Just for Men commercial.
He is an interesting guy and a terrific player. He's in the Japanese Baseball Hall of Fame. Hit 536 career home runs, including home runs against Tom Seaver and Phil Niekro when the American All-Stars were touring Japan. He was a terrific player, played center field, and then he managed the Hiroshima Carp and won a championship there. It has been 5 years since he has managed. He last managed a Hiroshima Carp, but he still likes what it feels like to be in that dugout.
And you know, the funny thing here is he's managing the third World Baseball Classic for Japan, and he doesn't have Ichiro or Darvish or Daisuke. There's might be an injury out there on the mound. Senya, after that, delivering that last pitch. Here's a look.
Senya walking around the mound, and the trainer is out now talking to the young pitcher. Remember, he's just 19 years old. And now they're looking at that right arm, and Hensley Mullins, the manager, will take the baseball from him. No reason to risk further damage, so Jonathan Senya will hand the ball over, leave the game, and get some medical attention from the training staff.
Netherlands, a change of pitchers. Japan up 8-1. Abe is laughing right now because the pitcher warming up hasn't thrown a strike, and they're all missing on his side of the plate. He didn't miss back in that second inning. A solo shot to open the inning, and then a 3-run shot on a hanging breaking ball. So he put 4 across the plate in an 8-run inning, and Abe is kind of approaching the plate. His teammates were on him because Mark Palak, who is warming up, is a left-hander, and his first 5 pitches sailed right over the batter's box that Abe will be occupying here shortly. He's out of Pasadena, California.
Yeah, Pollock is a guy we haven't seen pitch. He was 26 years old. And he's a guy that they're hopeful can get them a couple innings in this situation. Pollock pitched at Springfield High School in Utah, signed with the Cubs in 2005. And he's bounced around, played a year in the Cincinnati chain, Sarasota, and his last stint was independent ball in 2010 before he moved on.
His nickname is Gumby. Bert Blyleven was hopeful that Pollock would get to pitch because in Blyleven's words, he has a move to second that will blow your mind. To center, Odeber is out there, and Odeber makes the catch, and Pollock comes in and finishes the inning. But Japan is on top, 8-1. 8-1, Japan on top. Yuichi Honda is at second base for Japan. And Makun Tanaka is in. Now, Tanaka is an interesting guy, and I think a little bit of intrigue going into San Francisco. Kenta Maeda, by far, has been the best starter for Japan so far in the World Baseball Classic. Tanaka was supposed to be, with Maeda right behind him, but Tanaka in relief has been sharp, but in a starting role has not been. So the question would be, who's your game one starter if you're Koji Yamamoto?
I think it's Kenta Maeda. I think he's the guy that has been the most consistent. He has worked 10 innings in this tournament and has 16 strikeouts. Tanaka threw the ball very well in relief, first in Fukuoka and then here, but in his last relief appearance against Chinese Taipei on Friday, after breezing through his first 2 innings and racking up 4 strikeouts, he gave up 3 consecutive hits.
Well, that didn't take long. Bogarts goes down. Tanaka, one of the best arms here in Japan, gets a strikeout.
This is the difference between Tanaka and Maeda. Tanaka's got a wicked split, and he didn't have it in his start in round 1. It came together for him out of the bullpen, and it'll be interesting to see if he has that effective splitter again tonight. He can rack up some strikeouts if he gets ahead with his fastball.
Dashenko Ricardo, the catcher for the Netherlands. Spins one up there for a strike. It's 0-1.
We kind of characterize the Japanese pitchers as all having a split. Maeda doesn't throw a split. He's got a very good slider. That's his best pitch. 91 with the fastball. And good movement. This thing in on the hands of Ricardo.
I mean, it's hard to tell whether Tanaka is just rounding into shape, whether he's having trouble with the different baseball. Here's the 0-2 pitch. But ever since that relief appearance, after a really average start in Fukuoka, in a relief appearance in which he struck out 6 of 7 to finish, he's been real sharp. Pop-up. Nakata finds his way over and around. It looks like he's chasing Alfonso Marquez, the first base umpire, and he makes the put out. The winner of this game is the Pool 1 winner. They would play on Sunday night, 9 Eastern, 6 Pacific, against Pool 2 runner-up. Pool 2 begins later on today in Miami. And then the second semifinal is the following night on a Monday night. And the runner-up, if the score holds, that would be Netherlands, will play on Monday. Winners of those 2 games will advance and play the following night on a Tuesday night in San Francisco.
Yeah, and that's what's significant for the Netherlands, because if they end up losing this game, they will play back-to-back games if they win. You win the game 2 as the runner-up in this pool, you have to come right back and play the championship game. Diego Marquez will probably start for the Netherlands once they get to San Francisco. He was the winning pitcher in the game against Cuba. Went 6 good innings. Tanaka started against Brazil in the first game of round 1 in Fukuoka. There's another split and another strikeout.
And another 1-2-3 inning for the Netherlands. That Andrelton Simmons homer is just about it for the Dutch. Now, we can't just show you that shot without showing you the rest of the shot. That's the flag guy. And that does not look like an easy job.
One of 4 flag guys in right field there. They have been active and present. Quentin de Cuba comes on to take over behind the plate for Dashenko Ricardo. De Cuba signed with the Mets in 2006 and played the Summer League in the Dominican Republic and in Venezuela. He played in the Dutch League last year and hit .313.
Seiichi Uchikawa is going to hit for Abe, who did plenty of damage with 2 home runs in this ball game. And you see Uchikawa's had a very good tournament. Japan looks like a decidedly different team when we saw them in their first few games in Fukuoka. I mean, there was real concern that they weren't going to score any runs.
They looked very tentative at the plate. The most they scored in Fukuoka in round 1 were 5 runs. They got beat 6-3 in the final game. And the 5 runs they scored in their first 2 games came against China and Brazil. not your traditional baseball powerhouses. And then they really broke out against the Netherlands, and they haven't slowed down since. But it looked like they were somewhat tentative in their approach at the plate early in the tournament. Remember, these guys are defending champs. They've won the first 2 World Baseball Classics. There's some pressure on them. Plus, they have that incentive for Koji Yamamoto, the manager. They don't have their major leaguers. They don't have their stars from the big leagues like Yu Darvish and Hiroki Kuroda, Ichiro Suzuki.
And Yamamoto was not a popular choice. He wasn't a manager that was currently managing. Swing and a miss. And Pollock rather, with a good breaking ball and a strikeout of Uchikawa.
Yeah, he was not a popular choice, and he was selected back in November. He was a color commentator, and why in the world would you ever pick a color commentator to be a manager?
Well, it's worked out for some, but Joe Torre was able to make that transition.
Bob Brenly, of course. But I think the fans and the players have grown to like the way Koji Yamamoto has managed his ball club. Choi, big slugger in round 1 while batting in the cleanup spot, was asked to bunt. That sparked a comeback rally.
Pollock with a breaking ball. Pollock hits him. So that one gets away, and it hits Itoi. Remember when Abe was on deck and his teammates were getting on, and when Pollock was warming up, Abe never had to face him.
Yeah, Pollock came into the ball game because of the injury to Senya. And while he was warming up, he didn't throw anything close to the strike zone, and Shinosuke Abe, who had homered in his only 2 at-bats, eventually gets lifted for the pinch hitter, never had to face him.
Here's Nakata, hit by a pitch and is flied out.
This ball moves down and away from Nakata. He swings right over the top of it. Pulled off that pitch. They don't know anything about Mark Pollock. They haven't seen him pitch in this tournament just yet.
And secretly, Bert Blyleven is hoping they get the runner to second because he wants to see the Gumby move. And we do too.
And Mark Pollock, they call him Gumby because he's so flexible and he has an unorthodox setup with a runner at second base. And Blyleven says you just have to see it. I can't describe it to you. We'll have to see if that's the case if a runner eventually gets to second base.
Joe Nakata's up 8-1, Japan on top. High pop. Everyone's chasing. Simmons, Bogarts, and Sams, and it's Simmons who takes control and makes the catch. Well, the Braves have got themselves a good young shortstop for a long time. If Andrelton Simmons continues to progress, you see Kevin Heistick in the bullpen. He is warm and ready to come in. Hensley Mullins there's Blyleven. I think for everyone on the Netherlands staff, the emotion that spilled out last night. I don't want to say they're hungover from that emotion, but they're drained from last night. Whereas Japan had the night off, they knew they were playing. The Netherlands, with just an unbelievable ball game last night. They've got 3 players out who are injured. They don't have a lot of pitching available tonight, so they're kind of rolling it out there and seeing what happens.
Well, the Netherlands in 2006 lost 8-3 to Puerto Rico. Cuba beat them 11-2. They came back and beat Panama 10-0, but they didn't get out of the first round. And then in 2009, as we've been talking about, they had a dramatic run to knock off the Dominican Republic. But they then advanced to the second round in Miami. They lost to Venezuela 3-1, and then they got pummeled by the United States 9-3, and now they've taken it the next step. Where Blyleven very proud of what this team has done. Blyleven was with the team in 2009, and he talked about last night's win being as emotional as the 2-1 win over the Dominican Republic in Puerto Rico in 2009.
Well, there you go. There's a runner at second, although the count's 2-2. Not sure if Palak is going to break out the Gumby move here or not.
Lefty on lefty, he's got a chance to get the strikeout and end the inning.
And that's exactly what he does. Fastball and a beauty. Gets the strikeout. Palak has been just what the Netherlands has needed. 8-1 Japan. 8-1 ball game. Japan on top of the Netherlands. Copyrighted telecast presented by the authority of the World Baseball Classic Incorporated. May not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. Accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without express written consent. In Japan, Rich Waltz, Buck Martinez, our final night. These two teams, this has more of a feel of a spring training game in that the Netherlands is working with a really short pitching staff and 3 of the regulars out with injuries. Koji Yamamoto has put some hitters that he wants to get going in there to give them some live at bats. And another pitcher comes in for Japan, Takaro Imamura. And for the Netherlands, Michael Duersma will pinch hit. Some of the guys that we haven't had a chance to see in our trip over.
Opportunity to get some of the extra players in a bat or two in this ball game for Hensley Mullins. Imamura is a relief pitcher during the regular season.
Oh, 1 to Duersma. And a breaking ball for a strike.
Imamura pitches for Hiroshima last season. Appeared in 69 games, a total of 85 2/3 innings.
0-2 is outside. Now, I told you when we left Fukuoka, I was going to drop this on you at some point, and we've hinted at this because I had already penciled Ray Chang in at short. The Buck Martinez All World Baseball Classic this side of the bracket team. Duersma lines it foul. And you can, throw 9 guys on there. You don't need to go position by position. But think back to Fukuoka.
Well, you got Sakamoto hit a grand slam, the shortstop for Team Japan.
Yeah, he's no Ray Chang, though. Come on. Here's the 1-2. Fouled into the glove of the catcher, and Duersma strikes out. I'll give you an inning or two to think about it.
Okay, let me put it
tally the
team
votes
together. Take a look at this last pitch fastball. Held on to by the catcher, and Dersma strikes out. I'm going to work on it and come up with a very good team
Yeah,
for
well, you do that because I'm working on my team right now.
Round 1 and round 2, right?
And Ray Chang's at short, and he's
that's your team. Keep your team to yourself.
Here's a pitch. Astacia bounces out in a breaking ball. Misses low and inside. There's Sakamoto, and he's in the others receiving votes category for me. But certainly a good young shortstop. Here's a 1-0 pitch. Scope is on deck. Stacia's at the plate. Simmons had bounced out. I know who my second baseman is.
Oh, yeah. Jose Fernandez of Cuba.
Yes, that's unanimous.
You've been in his corner the whole tournament.
I have been. Unanimous selection.
Can I tell you my catcher?
You bought his jersey today. Come on.
I guess I tipped my hand.
Yeah, I mean, you walked in the booth sporting an Abe jersey. Come on.
Shinosuke Abe started this game as the DH tonight. Hit 2 home runs in the same inning. Drove in a total of 4, and he'll feel a little bit better about his stroke.
3-2 fouled at the plate. Kenta Maeda's got to be your starting pitcher. He's mine.
Good fastball. And caught the catcher right on that shoulder. Interesting chest protector for the catcher. You see he's got protection over both shoulders.
Three-two pitch. And it misses down low. Offensively, Japan, not much in Fukuoka. Before they hit their 6 home runs the other night against the Netherlands, they had not homered. Now they have 8. And you see that something changed. A switch was flipped, and they have lit it up in their last 2 games against the Netherlands.
I just think, too, that there was a little bit of intimidation by the fact that they might have to match up against Cuba. As Abe's working on his knuckler. But they did not fare well against Cuba when they last met in the final game of the first round. So they came out and really put a thrashing on the Netherlands. Netherlands, on the other hand, they have no problem whatsoever with Cuba. They've won 5 straight against the Cuban team.
Itoy lines it up, makes the catch. 8-1 Japan. Team Japan gear around Tokyo is everywhere. The other day I went to the Mizuno flagship store. It's the Nike Town, I guess Mizuno's version of Nike Town. And they have a floor with every sport. And the baseball floor is incredible. The gloves, you can have your glove custom made, custom fitted. The Team Japan gear, the actual game hats, game jerseys, game jackets. Andrew Jones rolls one to third. And nice inning for Team Japan. Jones is down. Imamura, a very brief 6th. Eight-1 ball game here as the Netherlands and Japan simply playing for seeding in San Francisco. Kevin Heistick is in. Heistick takes over and will pitch. And the bottom of the 6th inning in Japan. Team Japan has gone to their bench, brought in some guys that don't have a whole lot of at-bats. This man would be one of them. Sumitani, the catcher. You see Dersma has come in for Andrelton Simmons out at short. Both teams, when this game is done, hop on a plane and head to Arizona. The Giants and the Cubs, Japan will play those two. And the Netherlands will head to Peoria to play Seattle and San Diego. Then both teams will fly up to San Francisco. Two teams that advance out of Miami's pool. Not the one in the Clevelander out in left field, but the play and will bring them to San Francisco. That, of course, starts this afternoon.
Interesting that Team Japan will play the San Francisco Giants, given the Giants linked to Japanese baseball. First Japanese player to play in the major leagues, Masanori Murakami, left-handed pitcher, came to the Giants in the mid-60s and pitched 2 seasons there. And I asked Koji Yamamoto about Murakami. He remembered him well. And there was a scout/agent that had a relationship with San Francisco Giants named Cappy Harada. And Mr. Yamamoto lit up when I mentioned Cappy's name. Of course, the great Sadaharu Oh had a Hall of Fame career as a player right here with the Yomiuri Giants.
That ball's hammered. Matsuda drives it in the gap, and he's on his way to second with a double. Nobuhiro Matsuda.
Matsuda with 2 hits tonight, 3 at-bats, and he had a big night Sunday night. He was 2 for 5 with a home run. He drove in 3 runs. And he gets that high pitch once again. That's a familiar theme for these Japanese hitters. They love that pitch up in the zone. I think when we saw them early in the tournament, even when they took on Brazil, Brazil pitched them tough. They pitched them down in the zone, and they had a tough time. Not unlike any hitter. You make good quality pitches, bottom of the strike zone, you're going to have a lot of success. But boy, they weren't doing much with the bats. And that has that youngster all upset.
High stick misses away. Hisayoshi Chono's song. And he responds with a drive to left. Sams is there to make the catch. Matsuda holds. So coming up in Miami, 1 Eastern, Italy and the Dominican. And then 8 o'clock tonight, Puerto Rico and the USA. That's opening games of round 2, pool 2. This is the final game of Pool 1, the second round here. San Francisco awaits both of these teams.
Edinson Volquez will open it up on the mound for the Dominican Republic. He'll be opposed by Thiago de Silva for Italy. Dominican Republic at 324 in the first round. They were led by Robinson Cano, who went 9 for 15. Gio Gonzalez is going to join Team USA and open up the second round. He will start for Joe Torre.
Little looper, left center, and a nice running catch out there. There's the speed that Sams brings in the outfield. 8-1 Japan. To the 7th we go. It's amazing. There have been 9 runs and only 8 hits in this ballgame. Why? Well, some big swings. That's why. Here's our game summary. And 2 of those swings in the same inning. Shinosuke Abe hit 2 homers, a 3-run shot and a solo shot. Japan scored 8 runs in the second, and the arms have been good for Japan. Kenji Otanari and a special guest appearance by Makun Tanaka. He was sharp in his inning in relief. That's great news for Japan headed towards San Francisco.
Masahiko Murafuku is in the ball game. He's pitched an inning so far in the Classic. He has a strikeout.
Kurt Smith stands in. The Iron Man is out there. Takashi Toritani, who has the current Ironman streak going. 1-0 pitch. Smith can't check his swing. Smith's had an outstanding tournament. 9 hits, 22 ABs. He's 1 for 2 in this one. He's been a hidden hero here for the Netherlands.
He may have gotten himself a job. And a lot of scouts have watched him swing the bat very well, and he's looking at the prospects of playing independent ball, but after a pretty good round with the bat here, and who knows what might happen in San Francisco. He's shown some power. Hit a home run in his first at bat against Cuba. Morifuku with a good fastball on the outside corner. Morifuku pitches for the SoftBank Hawks in Fukuoka. Had 17 saves last year for SoftBank.
I can just see you in late May on the road in a hotel room, say, let's see, Boston. You're doing your book for the night. The Blue Jays are getting set to take on the Red Sox. And all of a sudden you've got the urge to flip over to check out all the Japanese league stats and find out how Abe's doing. Is Ibata hitting? How's Andrew Jones faring in Japan this year? Is Ballantine leading the league in homers again? Smith walks.
It will be
down to first.
Interesting to keep an eye on some of these guys. And we've gotten the chance to talk to a lot of the Japanese pitchers through interpreters, and they've been very open and anxious to talk. We had a great conversation with Abe about bats. He was curious to find out what kind of bats the big leaguers used. How heavy were they? How thin a handle they had? We had some good conversations with Atsunori Inaba, the 40-year-old veteran of the Nippon Ham Fighters and a team that plays in Sapporo. He was very interesting and a very good-looking player. He's first baseman that's not been in the game yet.
That's a fair ball. Sams cranks one into the corner. It'll be extra bases. Smith on his way to third. And Sams drives a double down the left field line. His 4th hit of the tournament.
Of course, his biggest swing of the bat came in last night's game when his sac fly won it. This is just inside the line down the left field line. Tell you what, he's going to be a fun player to watch. You talk about keeping your eyes on guys in Japan. There's a lot of guys on this team we're going to keep our eyes on as they make their way through the minors and debut in the big leagues.
You may see a couple in the American League East. You, of course, the play-by-play announcer on television for the Toronto Blue Jays. You may see Xander Bogaerts with the Boston Red Sox or Jonathan Scope with the Baltimore Orioles.
Of course, and Simmons has already made his major league debut, and he'll be the starting shortstop for the Braves.
I will see a lot of him.
Simmons broke his finger in a head-first slide middle of the season, and he missed time. Andrew Jones, a veteran, will be here in Japan for the first time. Andrew told us he had a contract offer from the Yankees for a minor league deal. And he said, you know, he didn't want to go that way, and he had an opportunity to come to Japan. He's looking forward to it.
Well, maybe they need him to play first base.
Well, there's been a lot of talk around the Yankees that they have inquired about Derek Lee and his interest to return to the big leagues. They've got a couple of concerns there with the injuries to Curtis Granderson, broken arm early in spring training.
1-1 pitch. Bogaerts a high chopper. Honda charging and throwing and not getting the runner at first. Scoring is Kurt Smith. And Bogaerts has an infield hit, and the Netherlands has their 2nd run.
Leadoff man in this ball game at a home run, Anderson Simmons, and Bogaerts, who had a big hit in the 9th inning in last night's game. It's a chopper off the dirt in front of home. It took a funny bounce just before Honda got to it. Stirring in the stands now as fans starting to rumble a little bit as the Netherlands has gotten on the board here in the 7th. Still nobody out.
Quentin DeCuba, his first at bat here in Tokyo. Left-handed hitting catcher.
Mentioned DeCuba signed originally with the New York Mets in 2006. One thing that's interesting about farm systems is many teams have summer leagues. There's a summer league in the Dominican Republic. There's a summer league in Venezuela. And it's designed to take the Latin American players that are young, 17, 18 years old, and give them an opportunity to play organized baseball. They're in an atmosphere where they wouldn't be intimidated as they might be coming to the United States early in their career.
Foul ball.
But many players from the Netherlands, Venezuela, Mexico, Puerto Rico, Dominican Republic have started their careers in the summer leagues of the Dominican Republic and Venezuela.
New bat for DeCuba. I think on the all tournament team, or the all this side of the bracket team, we should also get to pick our favorite song for a Japanese player. So think about that one, Buck-san.
I'm cute. Come on, baby.
You're putting a lot of pressure on me here, Rich-san.
You have, well, you've already jotted down your team.
Yeah, I got my team all picked
You
up.
have managing experience. I don't. So here's the 0-2.
Now I got to think about my song.
Fastball is up.
You know, this is the 12th of 12 games, and you're putting a lot of pressure on me now.
Because
it took me about 6 games to handle some of these names.
It's because I've unloaded all of my homework. And it's the top of the 7th of an 8-2 game. In the dirt, and it's 2-2.
I really have to tell you,
I think you've done a terrific job. This is not an easy assignment of play-by-play
of 12 games with teams that we've not seen much of. A couple players here and there we know before we start, but I know you enjoy it, I enjoy it. The challenge of learning the personalities of these players and talking to the managers and coaches and getting to know the players and finding some insight that you otherwise might not know. It's fun. It's been a great tournament.
Strike 3 called, and DeCuba goes down.
Good breaking ball, catches the outside corner. And Quentin DeCuba takes a strike. That's the first out of the inning. Morifuku came into the ballgame in relief, started the inning, walked the first batter he faced, and then a double and an RBI infield single.
So DeCuba goes down. And here is Odeber. Odeber, property of the Washington Nationals, was in High A Potomac, so maybe a promotion, or maybe he finds himself back in Potomac. He hit .252, 5 homers, 27 RBIs. He has big time speed. He had the great catch against Australia in Taichung. Lines that one into right field, hits it well, and a catch out there in right by Toy. Runner tags and scores. Sams comes across, so 2 runs. Odeber produces a run. You know, a guy like Odeber, and I was talking with Andrew Jones before the ball game, and he made the note in talking about Simmons, Scope, Odeber, Bogarts, Sams. He said these young players would be in spring training right now, and they'd be getting at bats, and they'd be getting in shape. He said, but here, they are getting to play in pressure-packed games. And if you're in the minor leagues, if you're coming up in the minor leagues, the games you're playing in are not pressure-packed games. Those are development games. It's all about developing players. Pitchers are watched carefully for pitch count. Hitters are working on things. It's about development in the minor leagues. Here he says, you get to take prospects, throw them into what is a postseason feel. Andrew Jones said last night felt like a postseason game, and he should know. He's played in a ton of them. Dersma is thrown out at first base. But the Netherlands scratches out a couple runs. They've got a ways to go here in Japan. It's 8-3. Tokyo Dome has been a great host for this round. Takahashi Toritani is coming up, and he's getting a big ovation for Japan. And it's 8-3. Japan is on top of the Netherlands. Toritani, of course, he doesn't have big numbers in the World Baseball Classic, but he is one of the reasons that Japan is here, and that is that stolen base against Chinese Taipei when Japan was down to their last out. And here's that stolen base. Remember, I likened it to the Dave Roberts stolen base in 2004 in Game 4 against the Yankees, and Toritani lights this place up with a base hit to right. Ibata would single him home and tie the game and send it to extras, where Japan would win it. And as Vince Scully would say, it's interesting to note, Buck Martinez, that Dave Roberts was born
in Okinawa.
There you go.
Another Japanese tie to Major League Baseball. Toritani got the big hit to jumpstart the offense in that 16-4 whitewashing. He hit a home run in his first at bat. The first of 6 home runs the Japanese would hit against the Netherlands the first time they met.
Here is Uchikawa. We're moments away from unveiling Buck Martinez this side of the bracket all-star team.
It's kind of fitting that Uchikawa would be at the plate, as you mentioned that.
Oh, you've got him on your team, huh?
Of course. He can swing it.
0-1 pitch. And it's fouled out of play. Here it is, ladies and gentlemen. We've waited 2 weeks for this.
Jose Abreu of the Cubs, of course, Cubs of Cuba with the big bat. Jose Fernandez, the 3-hitter in that Cuban lineup. And how about Leonardo Reginado? He had 3 hits in the first game of that pool in Fukuoka. Sakamoto, the shortstop, with a big home run the first game against the Netherlands. Alfredo de Spain was the MVP for Cuba in the first round.
That might be 2. It is 2. Nice double play, turned up the middle by Michael Dersma. All right, go back to it. There you go.
You're talking about de Spain, and I loved Heredia in center field. He had terrific range. Seiichi Uchikawa, he made my team in right. Shinosuke Abe, of course, is a pitcher in Kenta Maeda. He was great.
We were unable to pick a designated hitter. We were told, pick a pitcher, be happy with it, no DH. So there you go, Maeda. There's Sakamoto. He's happy that he made your team. I'm sorry, I would have, here's the Toys song. Now we also have to pick the favorite song for your Japanese player.
The Toys song is among the top 5 in my book. Of course, the fans here in Tokyo Dome very familiar with all the players.
Ground ball, right side. Smith has it, flips in time. And we move along on to the 8th, my all-star team. A very unconventional all-star team. Will Ray Chang be on it? Buck Martinez. Proud to have the MetLife Blimp Snoopy 1 providing coverage from 1,500 feet in the air. The MetLife Blimp has provided a unique perspective for fans for over 25 years and is thrilled to be a part of the 2013 World Baseball Classic, the Tokyo Dome. We're also proud to have the pair in the truck, Russ Ken, our producer, throughout our 2 weeks here, and Go Igawa, our director. They have been terrific and a joy to work with.
Yep.
And
They've been very helpful to us, and certainly producer and director mean everything to the crew in the booth, that's for sure. Get great pictures and good production value, and we want to thank both Russ Ken and Go Igawa for a job well done over these 12 ball games.
And all of the camera people and the folks in the trucks working in the tape room and in audio and all of that. Hanley Stacia is up. And the 1-1 pitch to the switch hitting infielder, rolled in the hole at short. Safe at first base. Stacia beats the throw from Toritani.
Toritani with the double clutch at short. He came out of his glove and had to re-grip the baseball before he makes the throw. Watch the double clutch by the shortstop. Up, and that's going to cost him. He didn't have a good grip on the baseball, and that allows Stacia to reach first.
All right, you picked your all-star team. My first of all, I'm playing the game under protest because I need a DH.
No. You don't get to make up the rules.
But I need a DH. I need somewhere to put Ray Chang because he's not my shortstop.
Well, I tell you what, he's on China's all-star team, that's for sure.
Yeah, he had that the huge hit in the win over Brazil. He had 3 hits that game. He literally carried China in their Fukuoka efforts, and with the win over Brazil, that was an enormous win for China because they don't have to re-qualify. They're into the 2017 World Baseball Classic. Scope is up. 1-0 pitch coming. So under protest, I got Curt Smith at first base.
Oh, good call.
The hidden hero. Fernandez, we both agree on. Reginato, we agree on. Andrelton Simmons, homered here. The big home run last night to tie it. He's my shortstop. I've got Despain in center because my outfield is jumbled up. I've got Ibata in the lineup. I got to have him in the lineup, Buck, because he's been the most consistent hitter for Japan in an offense that needed guys to spray the ball until the power started. Ibata was the guy. Itoi has been the run producer for Japan. Abe behind the plate, and Maeda is the pitcher. But Ray Chang would be my DH if I could have.
If you could have a DH. But then again, you don't make the rules.
And my managers.
Ooh, this is a good one.
Of all the 8 teams, who's your
manager?
Well, it's a really tough pitch. There's a look at Maeda, who is a consensus unanimous pick for both of our this side of the bracket all-star teams.
Okay, so go ahead. I'll let you choose your manager first.
Ooh, it's tough. I mean, it's real tough. On one hand, you've got the Netherlands here, who last night took down the #1 ranked team in the world, Cuba, without their number 3 and 4 hitter. And Hensley Mullins was the epitome of cool, calm, collected. Just like the guy he stands next to in the Giants dugout, Bruce Bochy. Mullins, the hitting coach for the world champion Giants. But on the other side of the diamond, you've got Koji Yamamoto, who's got all this pressure. He had a team that couldn't hit, and he had to absolutely push buttons, pull levers, blow smoke until the bats came around, and they did come around. So if I could give a co-manager of the tournament, I'd go Yamamoto and Mullins. If I had to pick one of the two, I'd probably go with Mullins because Japan is a two-time defending champ, and the Netherlands has never been this far going to San Francisco.
Yeah, it's difficult to overlook the job that Hensley Mullins has done, especially when you consider their win against Cuba without 3 regulars. Koji Yamamoto made a couple of unorthodox moves going back to the first game of the WBC for Japan. He had his cleanup hitter, Yoshio Itoi, drop down a sacrifice bunt that led to a 3-run inning. At the time, Japan was down by a run to Brazil, 3-2. And then, of course, the 2-out steal by Takashi Toritani, with Japan batting in the top of the 9th, trailing by a run to Chinese Taipei. Yamamoto put the steal on. If he gets thrown out, game is over.
And of course, Ibata followed with the big hit that tied the game. They won it in the 10th. I'll tell you another thing that I think took guts for Yamamoto, and that was yanking Tanaka out of the starting rotation. Tanaka started the tournament as the next arm to come to Major League Baseball, and he didn't look very good, and he didn't pitch well. Yamamoto got him in the bullpen, seems to have straightened him out. Andrew Jones swings and misses at a breaking ball.
And there's Tanaka. You can hear him getting on Andrew Jones for that big wild swing. Maeda has been terrific. 10 innings, 16 strikeouts in his 2 appearances, and you can bet you're going to see him open up the semifinals for Japan once the team gets to San Francisco.
Jones a chopper, third base side, and a long throw across, picked nicely at first by Nakata. And Jones is out. Scope moves up. Stacia moves up. And Kurt Smith comes to the plate.
There was a time in his career where Andrew Jones may have beaten us out, but that's not the case any longer, and he is out at first. The runners move up, second and third, 1 out. Another thing that's interesting about Yamamoto is that he has no loyalties to this team. It's been 5 years since he's managed, and he's been away from the game for a while. He's been a commentator, so he can come in and make moves without worrying about hurting anybody's feelings. He's going to do whatever he thinks is right.
And that goes for players' feelings or managers' feelings, because right now Joe Torre is trying to please a lot of people, including managers and general managers who have lent him or allowed their players to play for him. And that's, you were in that position in 2006. That's a no-win spot. That's a seed. Toritani with a terrific stop. And out at first is Smith, but he's going to pick up another RBI, and the Netherlands adds a run.
Toritani makes a nice play. He came into the ball game defensively.
Buck, would you say that the U.S. manager, of all the managers in the World Baseball Classic, has the toughest job in terms of dealing with not necessarily the players, but also the organizations that allow those players to come in your direction?
Yeah, I think so. I think that's the biggest challenge for Joe Torre right now, is to manage playing time first and foremost, because the players have committed to Torre and Team USA, and it's spring training. You want to get them ready for the regular season, but at the same time, you'd like to put the best foot forward. I took a lot of criticism because we split the playing time in the first Classic, the inaugural Classic in 2006. I recruited the players that were on the provisional roster, made phone calls, talked to them individually, and made promises that they'd all get a chance to start, because no one really knew what the tournament was all about in 2005 when the recruiting process began. And we had a lot of star players, obviously, but at that point, early in March, they're not ready to play 9 innings, especially players with major league teams. Spring training just starts in the middle of February. So there are a lot of concerns about the well-being, about the number of at-bats, and about playing before you're in game shape. But I think the tournament has progressed. We know now what an emotional experience it is These are great games. And you just hope at some point you get everybody from the United States to buy into what it means to be part of the effort to play on Team USA. Guys that have gone through it, whether it's collegiate Team USAs or Olympic Team USAs or even WBC, they understand how exciting it is.
Into center field, and Sams drives in another run, and the Netherlands gets a little bit closer on a broken bat single to center. Kalian Sams has a pair of hits.
Boy, all of a sudden the tying run is on deck. And remember, it's more important for the Netherlands in my mind than it is for Team Japan to win this game, because the winner of this game would play the first game in San Francisco on Sunday night, and that would allow them to have an off day. They would play then on Wednesday night, or excuse me, Tuesday night in the finals should they win. Japan has more pitching depth than the Netherlands.
So that Pool 1 winner would be the winner of this ball game. The Pool 2 runner-up would come out of Miami, and the Pool 1 runner-up on that Monday night would be the loser of this ball game. 8-5 Japan, pitching change in the 8th. Well, Japan goes to the bullpen again. Hideki Wakui. Both managers told us it would be that kind of game where he wouldn't use a pitcher more than a couple of innings, give everybody some work. And Wakui is here, but it's a little tighter than it has been for Koji Yamamoto ever since that 8-run second, an 8-1 lead at that point. 2 in the 7th and 2 here in the 8th. Alexander Bogaerts is up with Kalian Sams at first base. And Wakui misses outside.
Wakui was the MVP in 2008 of the Pacific League, of the playoffs. He was the MVP of the playoffs. He is another former Sawamura Award winner.
Liner down the right field line, but it's foul.
This is the real strength of the Japanese team, is the depth of their pitching,
which has got to play well in San Francisco. That is a great pitcher's park. In fact, we were talking with Koji Yamamoto about that ballpark and how it plays. And as you noted early in the telecast, you think that will play right into the strengths of Japan. Their execution offensively, their ability to move runners, their good defense. Smacked over the head of the third baseman and down the line. Matsuda couldn't get it. Round second is Sams, and Bogaerts sliding into second with a double, and here comes the Netherlands.
Bogaerts got a big hit in the bottom of the 9th inning in last night's game. That set the table. That loaded the bases for Kalian Sams. He comes up with a big hit now, and that will indeed get the tying run to the plate. Bogaerts starting to swing the bat with much more confidence. That was a bullet, and all of a sudden things are starting to stir in the Netherlands dugout.
Now, if you've just joined us, much like last night, the Netherlands without 3 regulars. Urendel de Caster with that foot injury is out. He was the most serious of injuries. You saw Ballantine there, groin injury. He's out tonight. They're hopeful that he's ready to start back up midweek in Arizona. And Roger Bernardina still out. DeCuba, the catcher, is up. And he goes after the first pitch and pops it foul and out of play. Add to that, in the Hensley Mullins, after the team was down 8-1 in the 6th inning, brought in 2 or 3 guys that really hadn't had a chance to play a whole lot in the Classic. They're in the lineup. Still, the Netherlands is creeping back. And with 2 outs, runners at second and third, they can pick up 2 more. DeCuba with a count 0-1. Wakui. Fastball in. That's Jerry Davis calling balls and strikes.
DeCuba hit .313 last year in the Dutch league, and I watched him take BP this afternoon. He really caught my eye. Hit a few balls up into the seats in right. Wouldn't that be a shocker for Japan?
Ground ball into right field. 1 run scores, and that's it. Held at third. Ben Thiessen, the third base coach, put the stop sign up, and Bogaerts had to stop and then got a face full of dirt diving back to the bag. But a strong throw by Itoi in right.
Hanging breaking ball pulled through the right side. Bogaerts running from second base gets halfway home, and he is stopped by the third base coach. And I tell you what, there's no give up in this Netherlands lineup whatsoever. Itoi unloads a perfect throw to the plate. 1 run scores. Bogaerts, there you see him halfway home, has to scramble back to third.
Tokyo Dome is not very big in terms of dimensions. 360 in the gaps. That means the outfielders are close, and you've got a really fast carpet. I know this is field turf, but it's old field turf and hard field turf and fast field turf. Here's Odeberg.
Odeberg had a double halfway up the wall in left field in his first at bat in last night's game. He scored a couple of runs and had 3 steals so far tonight. 0 for 2 with a sac fly.
Hideki Waikui out of the Japanese bullpen. $30,301 the attendance here tonight. By the way, we were told that the ratings for the Japan-Chinese Taipei game were off the charts. It peaked, that game did, at a 45 share. That according to one of the writers. Which means what? 45% of all television sets that were on were watching that game?
At the high point of that ball game, 45% of the television. That's a lot of television, a lot of eyes on this ball game, and it's been true throughout the course. They had a huge audience for game 1 in Fukuoka, 35% average viewership.
Here is the 1-1. And it's fouled at the plate. And now Odeberg is behind in the count 1-2. Netherlands, with 3 runs here in the 8th, has crept within 2.
The attendance at the ballparks throughout the first round up over 2009. They've increased almost 10,000 fans, up to nearly 500,000 fans for the first round in attendance.
The challenge is when you get teams who travel halfway across the world. It's not like college football or college basketball where, you know, you can pack up the RV and 6 hours later it's a tailgate party at Auburn. One-two pitch. Wow, he threw it by with a fastball. The Netherlands, though, is within shooting distance here. 8-6 Japan, bottom 8. You can see the 8 runs and the 2 Abe homers in the second blew this one open, but it's 8-6 now. Later today, Italy, 1 o'clock Eastern against the Dominican Republic. Interesting pitching matchup in that one.
Thiago de Silva will start for Italy against Edinson Volquez of the San Diego Padres. He'll go to the mound for the Dominican Republic. Gio Gonzalez is going to join Team USA and make that start against Puerto Rico.
High pop-up. And that is out of play. That is a home game for Gio Gonzalez, who grew up in nearby Hialeah and will have a ton of family and friends at the ballpark for that start. That's going to be a very special start for him.
Great opportunity coming off a terrific season a year ago for the Washington Nationals.
Sho Nakata. And he takes up. Still on the mound for the Netherlands, Kevin Heistek. And he has that big breaking ball for a strike. It's 1-2.
Japan has only scored in 1 inning. They scored 8 runs in the second. Got to the starter, Dave Bergman, touched him up for 7 of those 8 runs. Jonathan Insenia came into the ballgame, pitched well, but had to leave because of an apparent injury.
Down the right field line and foul into the corner. Well, the injuries for the Netherlands, that'll be the question once they get to Arizona as they try to rehab Vladimir Valentin, the 2-time home run champ here in Japan. Valentin, the slugger, the number 4 hitter in the lineup. Abe is healthy. He'll be rocking and rolling in Arizona. Will Roger Bernardina's wrist be okay? All reports were that it felt a lot better today, and he should be good to go middle of the week. And Yorendel de Caster's foot.
Players can be added to your team in between rounds. As we take a look at this check swing, Nakata did a good job of keeping that bat back. So you can replace players because of injury. And there are provisional rosters that you submit early in the process. Players that have eligibility to play for your country are on a provisional roster, and then you trim the roster to 28, and then in between rounds you can make injury replacements.
And as you see, the lefty, Valentina, Vendriel, the right-hander, especially the injury to de Caster. He was carried off on a stretcher last night. Smacked into center field, Nakata with a base hit. And he is aboard. And when he left the field, it looked like a serious injury. As it turns out, it's a very bad case of plantar fasciitis, which is painful. He's trying to get back for San Francisco. And in talking to Robert Einhorn, and yes, that's how he pronounces it in Holland, Einhorn. He said when he got to the Yankees, everyone called him Einhorn. He just didn't correct him. Everybody wants to know Jurickson Profar. He's on the provisional roster. Would you add him for San Francisco? And Einhorn said, look, he said, first we need to find out if these players are healthy. He said, because these are the players that got us here. These are the players that committed to play in the event. If they're healthy and they can play, those will be the guys that will play in San Francisco. If we need help and one of those guys can't play, or one or more of them can't play, we'll go get help. That one popped back to the screen.
Yeah, and Profar's just 20 years old. He's in camp with the Texas Rangers. He is hitting .212 in spring training. But you're right, and this is a situation where loyalty reigns supreme for the Netherlands.
Now this is Kakanaka's song. And this is not a bad song. Now,
there's my guy. He's on deck.
Oh, that's where you're going, huh?
That's Sonori Inaba. Look, he's on deck, and they're already starting to jump.
Yeah,
the shake.
Inaba jump, the Inaba shake.
doesn't even have to be at the plate and they start that Inaba shake.
You know, they don't do it with every at-bat, but this is obviously going to be his only at-bat of the game, so they've already started it with him on deck. There's the bunt with a play at second. Out there, Dersma's relay is not in time.
Good play by the pitcher, Kevin Heastek, as he goes to second. You can see Yamamoto, the manager, signaling to the umpire to announce the pinch hitter into the ball game. And this is going to get the reaction from the crowd here in the Tokyo Dome when he's announced.
Let's see if they jump around.
For Japan, number 41, Atsunori Inaba.
They're getting ready.
Inaba plays for the Nippon Ham Fighters in Sapporo, northern part of Japan.
There they go. Oh, this is great. This whole place is shaking. "40 years old. And he's got my vote for the best song, the best choreographed song. Deep, but not deep enough. Odeberg. Everybody can sit down now. He'll make the catch. It was fun while it lasted. And Inaba's had a nice tournament, and he'll be a valuable guy in San Francisco.
Yeah, he's a first baseman that's starting to swing the bat well. This ball toward the end of the bat didn't really carry for him. But he ended up hitting a home run in that 6-home run game against the Netherlands early on. You know, they even have songs for the imported players, for the foreign players. We asked Vladimir Valentin about his song. He says, yeah, I have a song.
It's a ripoff, Phil.
It's a ripoff. His manager had that song before Valentin, Hensley Mullins, when he played. And Mullins called him out on it. Said, hey, that's my song.
That's right. And of course, Mullins, when he played on that championship team with Yakult, Inaba was a rookie. That's well before the jump and the shaking started. Runner goes, breaking ball high, and the throw into center field. Picked up by Odeberg. And a stolen base by Kakanaka.
Long delivery from Heistek, and the throw is short of the mark, bounces past the glove of Jonathan Scope. Good jump at first base by Katsuya Kakanaka. And he's thinking about advancing, but Randolph Odeberg backed up the play.
Matsuda, from his 9 spot, has been pretty potent. Has doubled, has an RBI single.
Quentin DeCuba came into the game behind the plate in the 5th inning. Picked up an RBI single in his last at bat.
Just missed the breaking ball. 8-6 Japan. Shinosuke Abe clubbed 2 home runs back in the second. Then took a curtain call and called it a night. Japan had an 8-1 lead. Netherlands has come back little by little with a patchwork lineup without some injured players. Some guys that halfway through the game have been given the rest of the night off, including Andrelton Simmons. Matsuda with 2 outs, 1-1. And that one pops out of the glove of DeCuba.
It should be a pass ball on the catcher. That ball clanked off his glove, goes back to the screen, and Kakanaka moves from second to third.
Two-one breaking balls up. 3-1.
Fans having a lot of fun here tonight. We mentioned over 30,000 fans in attendance, and tribute to just how rabid they are. You can see that replica of the World Baseball Classic trophy. And Japan has won the first 2. Daisuke Matsuzaka, the MVP of both, and there's a guy right there that you might keep your eye on. Shinosuke Abe as far as a potential MVP.
Three-two. Did not swing. And Matsuda is aboard. Back up to the top of the order. Hisayoshi Chono. Charter flights for both. They're headed to Arizona. And of course, later on in the day in Miami, Marlins Park. Round 2 begins over on the other side of the bracket.
Hensley Mullins is going to welcome the little break just to give his players a chance to lick their wounds and possibly heal up. Vladimir Valentin, the big slugger right fielder and cleanup hitter in this lineup, has a groin injury, and he is optimistic that he'll be okay by the time they play again.
Chono had a big hit back in the second. He had a 3-run double. Of course, it's as Japan will leave here, they'll get to Arizona and get that day back as they cross over the date line. Runner goes, pitches up, and a stolen base. Defensive indifference. So no stolen base. Wonder if they have scoring controversies here in Japan.
Oh, you know they do. There are batting titles at stake and RBI titles, and I'm sure they have the same concerns as players as they do in the major leagues.
Chono being serenaded.
I think the only place in the major leagues that has anything close to what we see from the crowd is roll call at Yankee Stadium when the Yankees are in the field to start the first inning.
But that's just in the first inning.
Yeah, and it's only until the player acknowledges the fans, the bleacher creatures in right. They will call out the Yankees on defense, chant their names until those particular players turn and acknowledge the fans in right. But it's an entire at bat here in Japan.
Fastball's fouled back, and the count is 2-2. I think what's most impressive is that all the individual songs, this is an all-star team. These are players from all over the Japanese league, the best of the best. So they bring their own, they've got their own songs that their own home crowds have developed. But the crowds here, both in Fukuoka and in Tokyo, especially in Tokyo, they've got all the moves and all the songs and the lyrics down. Hammered into left field. That's a base hit. Runner coming home. And the throw is cut by the pitcher for some odd reason.
Yeah, it was a surprising move by the pitcher. The catcher, Quentin DeCuba, was waiting at home for that throw. The pitcher got in between the third baseman Bogarts and the catcher. Chono delivers the RBI single to left. One run comes in from third base, and then the base runner from second. As you see the throw from Sams, it was pretty much on the money, but the pitcher stepped in front of the catcher and cut it off.
Hensley Mullins is out, and I think he wants to know why Highstick cut the ball off. And Highstick is coming out of the ball game.
Chono delivers the insurance, drives in 2, and now it's a 4-run lead for Japan.
After the 2-run single by Hisayone Chono. And now Yuichi Honda is up there right now. Jonathan Valentina comes to the mound. We'll show you that play at the plate when we have an opportunity, because Mullins delivered a message before he removed the pitcher.
The ball is cut off by the pitcher, and on that play the pitcher should be behind the catcher to back up the play, and Quentin DeCuba, the catcher, was in position to make a play on it. He was probably going to be safe anyway, but Hensley Mullins went out there and looked like he asked the pitcher, what were you doing there? You never know with 2 outs, hey, you save a run. Let the ball go through.
These 2 runs for Japan, their first runs since the 8-run second. And I think what we're seeing here is a ball club in the Netherlands that used up their arms in the last 2 nights. One in the loss to Japan, and then last night there's a pickoff and a nice throw by Smith. The tag in time from Dersma. Down to the final 3 outs for the Netherlands here in a seeding game. 10-6 Japan. It's a 10-6 ball game, and the Netherlands down to their final 3 outs here in the final game in Tokyo. The Netherlands and Japan are already headed to San Francisco. This game will decide the seeds, the winner of the pool and the runner-up of the pool. And right now Japan has a 10-6 lead. Kazuhisa Makita, and a fastball from Makita for a strike. It's good to see him out and back and throwing on the mound, as Ryoji Aikawa is behind the plate for Japan.
Makita came into the game against Chinese Taipei in the 9th inning with the game tied at 2-all. He gave up a leadoff single, and then a bunt by Yang Dai Kong was back to the mound. He dove for it and made a terrific play and injured his left wrist on the play, but left the field, was examined
in the clubhouse and came back and finished the inning.
And we're told that's not unusual in Japanese baseball. If a player gets hurt, sometimes they will take him from the field, examine him, and then let him come back onto the field.
And it was interesting because the explanation I received was that the player out on the field has so much adrenaline going after an injury. They want to take him into the clubhouse, sit him down, calm him down, and get a proper evaluation of his injury.
Well, Makita has come in and is throwing strikes. Hanley Stacia up, the switch hitting infielder who's been in the outfield because of the injury to two outfielders. Valentin, the right fielder, and Roger Bernardina, the center fielder. Netherlands hoping to have them both back by next weekend for San Francisco.
Nikita's interesting in the way he has pitched in the big leagues. He was drafted by the Cebu Lions in 2010. He began as a starting pitcher, then went to the bullpen, and now he's gone back into the rotation for his team, the Cebu Lions. Uchikawa and Kenta Maeda looking on. Sakamoto with the grand slam. And Naba, a pinch hit at bat tonight. Everybody anticipating a flight to Arizona. Chance to play against the big league club in spring training situations and then on to San Francisco.
Stacia turns on one. It's foul. Not by much, but it's foul.
Shinosuke Abe, the catcher, had 2 home runs in that 8-run second inning, and you can bet when he gets to Arizona, he's going to meet up with some big league players and probably check out a bat or two, maybe even trade a bat with a couple of players. Just he was so curious about the size and weight and style of the big league bats. Had a couple conversations with him about that. He's a veteran, the reigning MVP of the Central League, a 9-time All-Star, and the captain of Samurai Japan.
Knocked down by Toritani, but Stacia is going to get the base hit. And the Netherlands won't go easily. Stacia, his second hit of the ball game. It's a 1-out single. It's going to bring Jonathan Scope to the plate.
Tahashi Toritani came into the ball game defensively, and he's had a couple of tough chances at shortstop. Not much he could do with this one. He keeps it on the infield, knocks it down with his body. And Stacia is aboard. Stacio's been on base 3 times with a couple of hits, as Rich mentioned. He also walked.
Scope has had some big hits, a couple of home runs. One of those home runs put enough distance between the Netherlands and Cuba in their first meeting. Makita with a fastball that misses, and it's 1-0. And Scope homered in the first round as well in Taichung. .70-mile-an-hour changeup. This team of all-stars that makes up Samurai Japan and the Netherlands headed to the States into right field. Scope follows Stacia, and Andrew Jones to the plate.
The Netherlands has out-hit Japan 10-9. And the 8-run second inning is the difference in this ball game. Scope's a good-looking hitter. He's a young hitter. He's an up-and-coming infielder in the Baltimore Orioles system, and the Orioles believe that they might see scope on their big league club before the season is over. Remember, Baltimore last year called up a youngster and put him at third in an everyday situation, Manny Machado. And boy, did he respond. And he, like Scope, is a natural shortstop, but Machado made a heck of a transition over to third.
Now Andrew Jones looking for his first hit of the ball game. Takes a fastball for a strike. How do you think Andrew Jones will do here in Japan?
I think he'll do all right. I think Hensley Mullins understands the challenges Jones will face as a big leaguer coming here. And now he falls behind 0-2. But Andrew was anxious to get an opportunity. He wants to continue to play. Had a great 17-year career in the big leagues.
And he has enjoyed the heck out of this so far and is ecstatic to go to San Francisco. 1-2. Jones not only the leader in the clubhouse, leader on the field, but the guy that picked up the phone and called everybody and said, "I'm in. Are you coming?" The other big draw for a lot of the players was the fact that Hensley Mullins was the manager. Because for those players in Curacao and Aruba, obviously Andrew Jones a big name, but Hensley Mullins was a big name as well, and still is.
Anderson Simmons, the young shortstop for the Braves, in 1996 watched the Braves and Andrew Jones play in the World Series. Jones at the time was just 19.
End of the bat, roller to second, one there, safe there. And now the Netherlands down to their final out. Jones is at first, Scopes erased, Stacey's at third, and here is Curt Smith. In every World Baseball Classic, you have stars that play, and you have guys that are minor leaguers coming up, minor leaguers trying to hang on, that will have big performances. And the guy at the plate has done that for the Netherlands. Curt Smith has driven in 7 runs. He has 9 hits and some big hits. And his home run against Cuba really put them on their heels and got the Netherlands off to a quick start.
His home run led off the second inning after they had a scoreless first inning. They jumped out to a 2-0 lead over Cuba.
Makita has his own song out there. Snap throw, and Andrew Jones back in time.
Aikawa, who has started in this tournament. Hensley Mullins said, "Hey, let's stay close. Let this guy hit now. Don't want to get picked off to end the ball game."
One breaking ball. It's 1-2. Here's the 1-2, and it's in.
You mentioned how sometimes unknown players, young players, really gain confidence while playing in the WBC. That was the case with the young Jeff Francoeur playing for Team USA in 2006. Matt Holliday also got his career really off and running. Chase Utley Was a young player in 2006. He went 5 for 13 in the tournament, and he catapulted his career. Became an all-star with the Phillies.
Makita obviously wanted that pitch, didn't get it. Smith is still alive. Jones will be moving from first. And it's over. Shinsuke Abe owned the second. He hit a pair of home runs, a solo shot, and a 3-run homer, but he's not the MVP. Hirokazu Ibata is your MVP, Buck Martinez, as he hits 600. And it's on to Miami as the second round on the other side of the bracket starts coming up shortly.
Well, the big bats in the Japanese lineup came alive here in Tokyo, and the home run really played a big part of their offense. But the strength of their team, in my mind, starting pitching, and they've got a lot of it. You're going to see Kenta Maeda in San Francisco.
And the Netherlands, of course, the Cinderellas, they're headed to San Francisco as well. Italy, Dominican Republic, Puerto Rico tonight against Team USA. For Buck Martinez and our entire World Baseball Classic crew in Tokyo, I'm Rich Waltz. It's been a great 2 weeks here in Japan. This has been a special presentation of the World Baseball Classic. The Netherlands and Japan headed to San Francisco.